so like I said, we've got two different types of hangers, right? This one I'm kind of annoyed with because it has this bar here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap out for this other hanger. And this one doesn't have the bar, so I'm thinking it'll look better, but we'll go ahead and see. Oh, and then make sure you don't stretch out the neck like I am right now. Great. So personally, I like this one better. So we're gonna go ahead and go with this one. Let's take it to the studio. Okay, so now we're not in a studio, but we're in a spot. I have a white wall. I just set it up with a pin. I'm hanging it, right? Now, what's important is that you style it correctly and you want everything to drape as nice as possible. I kind of like to have the body of the shirt a little more in or out in front of the arms. And then I'm gonna flatten out the arms here. So there are gonna be some natural things that are occurring. You might wanna pull down a little bit just to have it look right. And then there's gonna be like these natural things occurring, but sometimes that looks cool. You just have to figure out what works for you. I've already set this up a little bit to shoot. And then what I wanna do is make sure that I'm on a white balance. All right, so I just did a custom here. Now the ISO, I'm gonna set down really low to like 100. But what I was talking about is the shutter speed here, which will be the same on almost any camera you use. If I bring it down, I can actually get to a higher exposure. As you'll notice here, I'm at about plus 0.3. All right, so I'm gonna set it to the 2 second there. And then when you hit the button, it's actually gonna wait for 2 seconds and then take the photo. And that's gonna ensure that it's very still and then the photo is gonna come out looking the way you want it to look.
Invisible hanger shot. First of all, I set up the polyboard panel at the back, 2.4 by 1.2 meters, the bigger one, which I covered with paper, the Arctic White Colorama. This allows me to get a smooth surface, so in case I have to keep the shadow, I can just have a really smooth surface. Talking about lighting, I always use a 400 or 500 watt studio flash. In this case, I'm using a softbox 120 centimeters at the front of the light to have nice and soft shadow on the garments. Now we are ready to talk about how I style the garments without using any hanger. Basically, if I'm shooting any top which has collar, I just grab the collar and keep it on top of the polyboard with my thumb and pinky fingers. So like that, I can just grab some pins and pierce the garments from inside the collars. By doing this, I can avoid any pin retouching. After that, if it's a light fabric, I can just grab the shoulder and give a nice shape on top of the polyboard panel. Grab 2 more pins, place it, one on the right and one on the left shoulder. If you're shooting t-shirt or shirts, it should be fine to hang them just with 4 pins, but in case you're shooting something heavier like jackets or coat, you can just pin next to the collar with 2, 6 or more pins, so in this case it's gonna hang very firmly. For a better grip, I always recommend to insert the pin pointing downwards. Now you're probably wondering about how I style all the garments always in the same way. Well, you have paper on the wall, so you can just draw the shape of your garments and place them on top of it. You can draw, for example, a little cross or a corner where you have to place the arms, cuffs and wherever.